1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. This is not the Fibonacci sequence. Let me explain. To do this, we'll have to travel back in time to about 1,000 years ago into the world of Sanskrit poetry. In Sanskrit poetry, there are two types of syllables, short syllables and long syllables. Short syllables have one beat, and long syllables have two beats. So a short syllable would sound like this, and a long syllable would sound like this. These syllables would then be arranged to form rhythms of different lengths. For example, you could write a rhythm that is 4 beats long. There are 5 ways to do this, as shown here. Actually, let's see how many ways you could form rhythms of different lengths. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. This is the Hemachandra sequence. Not ringing a bell? Oh well, you probably know it as the Fibonacci sequence. Let's learn more about it. This sequence was originally known as the Hemachandra sequence, after the Indian poet and polymath Acharya Hemachandra, who discovered it around 1150 AD. However, in modern day, it's better known as the Fibonacci sequence, after the Italian mathematician Leonardo of Pisa, also known as Fibonacci, who popularized it. But did you know that knowledge of the sequence dates back all the way to an Indian mathematician named Acharya Pingala from around year 2 AD? Now let me share with you a quote by Acharya Hemachandra on the sequence that I love because it's just so simple and eloquent. It goes, "Every n-beat rhythm ends in either a short or a long." So let's break it down. Let h of n be the number of n-beat rhythms you can make. This is what we want to compute. Let's break this up into two scenarios. Case 1, your rhythm could end in a short. We know the last syllable, so now all we have to do is find out how many ways we can fill the rest of the rhythm. So how many spaces are there left to fill? n-1. So how many ways can we fill it? Using what we defined earlier, h of n-1. Case 2, your rhythm ends in a long. Again, we know the last syllable, and there are n-2 spaces left to fill because the long syllable is 2 beats. So there are h of n-2 permutations. Here's where we get to the widely known logic of the Fibonacci sequence, where every successive number is the sum of the previous two. Now, however, you can see the idea has been around much longer than Fibonacci and his rabbits. The fun thing about the sequence is that it likes to pop up everywhere. Besides in poetry, Fibonacci popularized it with the example of reproduction in rabbits, when he discovered that the population of some rabbits increased following the Fibonacci sequence. There's also the golden spiral, which is a spiral in which the radii of the quarter circles follow the Fibonacci sequence. Sometimes it can be applied in real life, like in the nautilus shell, and sometimes people just like to slap it on anything. My favorite, however, is by far the applications in the spirals of sunflower seeds, or in this case, a chamomile flower. I mean, it is pretty, but did you know that the number of swirls in different directions are often consecutive Fibonacci numbers? You'll find that this is related to the angle from which the flower pushes the seeds out from the center to use the space most efficiently. I love the way math pops up in everyday life in the simple things that we take for granted, like this chamomile flower. This fascinates me, and I hope that my video inspires you as well to learn more about math and its connections to art, poetry, and nature. Let's briefly return to poetry. In parting, I would like to leave you with a poem that I read recently by Brian Bilston called Word Crunching. It's a type of poem called a fib poem in which the number of syllables in each line follows the Fibonacci sequence. It goes, "I wrote a poem on a page, but then each line grew by the word sum of the previous two, until I started to worry at all these words coming with such frequency, because, as you can see, it can be easy to run out of space when a poem gets all Fibonacci sequency." Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.